During the summer of 2007, a gas well was drilled 800 feet from our house. The cement casing blew out when the gas well was fracked. We noticed changes in the taste and smell of our water. Our family experienced sinus infections, abdominal cramping, diarrhea, rashes, and excessively dry skin. We filed complaints with the drilling company, the DEP, our township supervisors, and state representative. The DEP had the drilling company supply us with drinking water for 2 months after elevated levels of several elements in E. coli were found in our well water. We contacted the drilling company and the DEP again in 2007 for our water discoloration. The drilling company and the DEP tested our water again and claimed our water had settled and was fine. We have been buying drinking water since. We do not believe our water is safe as we still experience off odors, sliminess, and excessively dry skin. Pre- and post-drill water testing did not include any chemicals used for fracking. For any water test to be truly accurate, all chemicals used for fracking should be included in pre- and post-drill water tests. Casing methods and standards need to be addressed to protect our water table. Fracking containment ponds are allowing fracking fluids to leak into the ground and the water table. Open containment ponds emit odors and chemical vapors into the air we breathe. Wastewater treatment and disposal are another major concern. The elevated TDS levels in the Mon and the inability of our wastewater treatment plants to treat fracking wastewater are putting the main public water source at risk. You must have fresh, clean water to sustain life. I feel my family's health and safety is at risk. I hope the EPA can be instrumental in lifting the gas and oil industry's exemption of the Clean Air and Water Act. Thank you for your time and your concern.
These frac sites have been damaged and destroyed. Crimes of prostitution and drug distribution accompany these projects. Workers are dying. Sites are unregulated. Chemicals in silica are causing cancer, tuberculosis, and silicosis. We are running out of time. To live, we must have clean water to drink and air to breathe. Canonsburg is a historic site of nuclear contamination. Let us make this meeting an historic victory for human rights. We're fighting for our lives. Stop frack drilling now. Thank you.
As an unintended consequence, and I'm turning my time over to Ted Beverly.
Groundwater starts out as rainfall. It percolates down through soil impermeable rock until it hits some barrier, then flows sideways slowly under the influence of gravity. It may take hundreds of thousands of years to return to the surface as a spring, or it may never return naturally. Usually, aquifers that are tapped through wells are at most only a few hundred feet. Groundwater can get contaminated. We know that large areas in the northeast U.S. can no longer use their groundwater without treatment because of contamination from road de-icing salts. I have a job on my desk at this very moment where the well for our home now has over 1,000 parts per million sodium chloride, and the water has to be treated by reverse osmosis. Water used in fracking contains chemicals from two sources, those from the reservoir and those deliberately put in to aid the drilling fracking process. Many of these can be toxic in some way. Millions of gallons of water are used at each well, and thousands of wells are being drilled. That means thousands of millions or billions of gallons of surface water are being removed from the surface water budget to drill these wells. 0.5% of a billion gallons is still one hell of a large volume of synthetic, possibly toxic chemicals being handed daily and subject to accidental release. This release would start that material on its way to ultimate conclusion in the groundwater. We know that much of the produced water is stored in surface ponds. Ponds must always leak and often break or overflow, and the contents start down toward the groundwater. I asked the EPA to look at what happens to that water and how it is handled at or near the surface while it's being used and it's not been used. We expect accidents. Please support that.
Thank you, sir. I can take you to neighbors who have contaminated water supplies. You've heard from many of them already. I can take you also to places where spills have indeed killed fish and other aquatic life. I don't know what it is. We don't know enough about hydraulic fracturing. But individual citizens, townships, and local governments generally are powerless to control, even influence, the extraction of Marcellus shale natural gas. We cannot depend upon the industry, any industry, to choose environmental protection over maximizing profits. Corporations have no conscience. The EPA must give them that conscience.
Gas wells a mile from us. Mark West processing plant a mile from us. A compressor station a mile from us. Yes, I am concerned about our well water, health, and the environment, especially Chartiers Creek. The chemicals used in the fracking process should be disclosed by the gas companies. Let's close the Halliburton loophole. Please, please, the safety of Pennsylvania's water supply should not be, the safety of Pennsylvania's water supply should not have to rely on luck or the public relations talents of the oil and gas companies. Thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak. I am a lifelong farmer, landowner, professional geologist licensed here in Pennsylvania, former township supervisor, and former Department of Environmental Protection regulator with 16 years of experience. I try to continue to be a good steward of the land here in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. I've dedicated most of my life towards the protection of fresh water and the environment here in southwestern Pennsylvania, in the immediate area, and around the country as an environmental consultant in the private sector. At the age of 14, I was fortunate enough to have first-hand experience in hydraulic fracturing on my family's farm not far from here. I followed that experience through my college coursework in geology related to the responsible development of our natural resources. I can tell you and show you a 20 well field here locally that was hydrofracted between 1977 to 1979. I offer to you, as a part of your study, to visit my historic 100-acre farm here in Cecil Township, to include as a portion of the studies for surface and or groundwater to assist in the historical reference that fracking impacts do not occur from responsible fracking operations. As I do not know of any well or water supply that was affected in that 30 years ago when that activity took place. Some of these wells are still in production and are viable resources to this community. I thank you for the opportunity to speak here tonight. Thank you, sir.
I've spent many of those years working on hydraulic fracturing jobs. Halliburton strongly supports the EPA in this study. In fact, we commend you for your intent to ensure that the case study is science-based, peer-reviewed, and incorporates the proper risk assessments. As EPA moves forward, we would urge you to focus on what Congress specifically asked the EPA to review, which is to study the relationship between hydraulic fracturing and drinking water. We believe the EPA will substantially increase its chance of completing its work on this issue, identified by Congress in a timely manner, if you keep the study properly focused. Avoid wasting time and resources on out of scope. We commend the EPA for involving the public in the process. We are encouraged by your technical workshops you plan to hold this fall. We believe these workshops can help to provide an appropriate scientific grounding, and we look forward to participating. We would like you to suggest that the agency consider adding an additional workshop topic, and that is to review the practices for surface management of hydraulic fracturing fluids and flowback. In conclusion, we welcome the EPA's scientific review. We are confident that the EPA will clearly conclude that hydraulic fracturing poses no significant risk to human health or drinking water sources. Thank you for your opportunity for giving these conferences.